Hey guys, this is Pastor Jeff here in the podcast studio. This past weekend, we discussed how we can defeat temptation in our lives. The reason that this is such a powerful message is because temptation is always ongoing. We're always in wartime, so to speak, that the devil wants to come and steal and to kill and to destroy. And really, when it comes to temptation, oftentimes it's easier to see in other people. So when we read the story about King David, like we talked about in Sunday's message about how at the time of war, rather than going out and fighting like all the other kings were doing, David stayed back in the palace. So therefore, David didn't have any accountability around him. Therefore, David felt he had the ability to choose to do whatever he wanted to choose whenever he wanted to do it. And even as he was making his way up step by step by step to the top of the palace, we're thinking as the reader, why are you doing this? Why are you letting go of all the goodness God is doing in your life for such a short-term pleasure that's going to lead to sin and death? And when we see it in other people's lives, we wonder, why would they do that? Why weren't they thinking? And yet with ourselves, we need to become ruthlessly objective as well. So just a couple questions for you. And I wrote some of these questions down in the study guide that goes along with our sermons. You'll find these on the website. But are you aware of your sin patterns? Are you aware in your life, if you've done a study of your own life and understanding, hey, where is it that I continue to succumb? Or what is it that I have a proclivity to give into? Where in my life do I not live to the full of what God would have for me? Does it center around food? Does it center around anger? Does it center around an addiction? Does it center around your marriage? Does it center around your singleness? Does it center around sexuality? Where is it that you have a tendency to give into your sin? Where are you most likely to be tempted? And when are you most likely to be tempted? I find that for me, after a significant time of success or spiritual vitality, or after I preach, when I've given a lot of energy, when I'm tired, that's when I can tend to be short with people or these type of things. So I know for me, when I'm tired, I need to sleep. I need to go to bed. I need to go to bed earlier. I need to sleep in longer. I need to make sure I'm getting good nourishment. I need to make sure I'm drinking lots of water. That may not sound super spiritual, but I find when I'm doing those things, I'm more aware of how the enemy is getting ready to place the bait of temptation in my life. What is it that you need to do? Because when we read the story of David, we think, how can this man, a man after God's own heart, a man that wanted to do everything for God and live for God and be about God in all of his daily dealings, have this chapter in his life that's so dark? And the reality is, we know it can happen to every single one of us. It can happen to me and it can happen to you. So what are we doing to prepare? And what I found in 30 plus years of walking with the Lord is that the closer I grow with him and that the longer I go with him, the stronger the temptation can become and the more aware I need to have other people in my life speaking into my life, accountability in my life. David had no accountability. Here's another question for you. Who's your accountability? Who do you allow to speak into your life about you? Do you allow your spouse to speak into your life about you? They know you better than anybody. Do you get angry with them when they do, or do you listen to them? Who are the people in your life that speak into your life? My wife is able to speak into my life anytime she wants. I have a couple really close friends that are able to speak into my life any single time that they want. And that is what God would have for us. Who's your accountability? Who speaks into you about you? Who do you not push away and say, well, they don't know me very well? Who do you have that knows you really well, that when they say, hey, listen up, I'm talking to you, you got to hear this, that you'll trust what they say because you know that they love you? Who is that in your life? And then what strategies have you placed in your life in order to stop sinning? What do you need to start doing, stop doing, or start doing differently? These are questions that are ongoing in your life because the susceptibility to different sin changes over time. The sins I struggled with 30 years ago are not the sins that I would struggle with today. Hopefully, we're all growing in holiness, which means we're growing more in the likeness of Christ. We're becoming more God-honoring. So some of the things that might have trapped us a decade or two ago, those aren't as big of an item today, but they still could be. So I don't think we ever get to a place where we're like, well, that can't hurt me again. I'm beyond that. I think any time that we have that level of pride, that comes before a fall. We need to realize that any sin can get to us at any time, although we are growing in a way that we're becoming more acutely aware of how God is working in our lives and how God is helping us. So this is the really way we defeat temptation. We have to realize that God's an abundant God, that he loves us. No good thing will he withhold from those who walk uprightly. And it means this: we have to have an ongoing relationship with our God through the person of Jesus Christ. How is your daily walk with Christ? People that are sinning grievous sins, you can be assured of this, that they've gone through a period of time where they've stopped seeking the Lord and they've started seeking their own pleasure. And we can all go through times like that where we're lured away from this relationship, or we think that we've gotten to this plateau where our relationship with Christ is so strong we can never sin like that again. I would encourage you, don't ever get there. Don't ever get there. Have people that you speak into your life on a regular basis. Spend time with God on a daily basis. Spend time with him regularly throughout the day. Invite God into every situation and trust that God's good. He has your best. If there's a desire you have that's not getting met, seek the Lord. Make sure it's a godly desire. Ask the Lord to provide for that desire. And if it's not a godly desire, ask God to change your heart and to love what he loves and hate what he hates. Hey, I love this book of James. We call it practical theology, which means this: any sermon I preach from any part of this book, you will say, this is speaking right to me right now, right where I'm living. And that's the intent of James's heart as he writes to us. I cannot wait to preach this week's message to you tomorrow. I look forward to seeing all of you there, and know this: until I see you, from my heart to yours, that you are loved.